Good evening, everyone. I am your host and instructor, Laney Shaughnessy, and welcome to Spindle TV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. Spindle TV is brought to you by Digital Woodcarver, inspiring your creativity and providing you with the tools to create your own unique masterpieces. Hear me now. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. I was sitting there, man. I did a long speech already. So good evening, everyone. You won't see my face tonight. My camera decided to go into updates and everything. So no camera tonight. Now, you guys have already started asking questions, and I'm here to answer them. We are going to be talking about the PlanetCNC TNG software, some of its features and things. We tried to do this the other night, and we had some technical difficulties. But to get right started, the first question that was asked is, what version software, should we have? Well, in the planet-cnc.com, under products in the software window where we are now, when you migrated over, if you have migrated over earlier, you migrated over by downloading the 2017.10.30 beta for your Windows. You'll notice now that there is a PlanetCNC TNG 2018.04.04 beta Windows. If you have not downloaded your TNG to migrate over and you're thinking about doing it, this is the version that you want to download, the 2018.04.04 beta Windows. If you've downloaded and have been running your 0.30 beta, you may want to take a minute, tomorrow, tonight, whatever, and download and update to the 2018-04-04. Now, the word beta right now, you know, they're still making changes and improvements. Some of the improvements that they've made in the 04 version is they've added some new features that weren't in the .30 in the measuring, you know, measuring in the your coordinate systems within the center of a circle and things like that. So they're constantly gonna be updating some things. We at Digital Woodcarver have made some requests, some features we'd like to see, like for instance, like the little time clock, how long it takes for a project to carve and all that we are familiar with in the CNC USB controller, and those features are being added in. And while they're adding all these in, it's still gonna say beta. While they're updating it all. Once everything is all done and they're 100% happy with everything, then they're going to remove the word beta. So you want to, for you guys and girls that have the .30 version, when you download the beta version, make sure you have a couple of things at hand ready. One, your setting file that you've set up for the TNG that you can bring over into the new folder. Your license key code that you can bring over to the new number .04, and that would be, if you haven't deleted your email, that would be in the email that you got back from PlanetCNC with that license key code. Hopefully you have copied that email into a text document like Notepad or something and saved it to your computer for future if you ever need it. And this would be a time that you need it if you're going to update to the .404, 2018 beta. But if you're just now downloading it, PlanetCNC TNG 2018 .04 beta for your Windows. That's the version you want to download. If you have the earlier version, you can update. Just be sure if you update that you've got your setting file, that you've got your license key code and everything, because you're going to have to bring those in. All right? All right. So, you've been told to have those things ready. Make sure they're ready. All right. For you guys and girls that are just now migrating from CNC USB, when you download and install, you're going to be prepared to be down for a period of 24 hours while you send off the email with your license key code. You send off that email to support@planet-cnc.com, and they'll, you know, hey, I'm just migrating over to TNG. Here's the license or the activation code that the program generated for me. Could you please provide me with a license key code for this activation code? You know, they'll email you back the license key code, and it could take up to about 24 hours or so. They're not open on the weekends, so if you send it off on Saturday, don't expect it Sunday. Most likely Monday or Tuesday you'll get that email back. So whenever you migrate, be sure it's at a time not in the middle of a rush hour when you've got 100 jobs to get out or something like that and you're on a deadline. Do it when you have about 24 hours that you don't need to be running your CNC machine, because once you migrate over, that's it. You won't be able to go back and use CNC USB controller, okay, because you're updating your control board and stuff. So, .40404. Okay, now in the TNG software, under the machine menu, measure, you'll see they used to have just the measure surface for your automatic Z touch off, but now they have measure circle center, measure work offset, measure coordinate system. Some new features that were added in from the .30 beta version, and so they're continually updating those information, as well as updating their instructions. Last week or the week before, when we tried to go through this video, we had a pop that Dr. Pepper top. We had a miscommunication. I couldn't get those buttons to be added and things, and it was because they had changed the way the files were set up and stuff, and it wasn't working. They weren't aware that it would affect anyone, but now they have updated those instructions. And William, let me know what you mean by are the new instructions for upgrading to 2018.404. What does that mean? Are the new instructions for upgrading? What is it like a what are the new instructions, or is this video the new instructions? What's the finish off that question, or give me a little bit more information on that one. You want to download the 2018.04.04 beta for your Windows. If you have not downloaded it and you're just now migrating, that's the one you want to download. That's the latest version. And for you guys and girls, once again, that have already downloaded and migrated over, you may want to update to that .0404. So the manual and everything is all the same. The manual and everything is all the same for the version, but there are some new instructions. So if we went over to the back to the website link, where was I? Pull that page back up and bring it over. And if we go back to that PlanetCNC.com and we go to our blog here on PlanetCNC, planet-cnc.com, the instructions, which we're going to go over tonight, that's what we're talking about and stuff. But the instructions for adding custom features, for adding custom buttons, toolbar buttons, for adding tabs and stuff in the software. All of those blog reports have been updated. Those blog posts and instructions and all have been updated and everything. So you can review them. But also, we're going to be going through those steps this evening as well. Okay? So, one of the things that you will see is and the picture is not froze, Bob. The picture is me. Nothing's moving right now, except for the web page. But all of those blog posts and stuff. But right now, you should be, in just a minute, you should be looking at a static page of my TNG. Nothing's moving. So it's not froze, it just hasn't moved. All you're hearing is my voice talk and things. My mouse is moving now, but Brenda, I'm well behind the curve here. I know nothing of this and no idea where to get it even. What I did get is anything like this. Brenda. Okay. Brenda, you most likely have CNC USB controller with your software. That's what you got with your machine. PlanetCNC TNG is an update to the CNC USB controller software. When you go to update, you're going to go to the website www.planet-cnc.com. Okay? Under products, down to software. When you get on the software page, it's going to tell you to choose your download, or ask you to choose your download, should I say. And you're going to come down and you're going to download PlanetCNC TNG 2018.04.04 beta for Windows. You're going to choose that and you're going to download it. Okay? Now, you would be migrating over to this program, Brenda, from PlanetCNC USB controller, from CNC USB controller. So there are a couple of extra steps that you need to do. Now, I have a video on that, but to make it easier for you, since you kind of feel that you're behind the curve, you should call me tomorrow morning and we should do it together. pick up the phone, call me tomorrow, hell, call me this evening after the class, and we'll do it together so you're not lost. Because there's certain steps that you've got to follow to migrate from the program that you're using to the PlanetCNC USB controller. And those steps are, first of all, you need to make sure that your CNC USB controller is up to date. The version of your controller should be 2017. Oop, where we go? Here we go. Should be V2.10.1710.2601. And you can go into your CNC USB controller. You can go to the help menu, down to the about option, and it will tell you the version that you have. If you do not have that version, then you want to download this version and update your CNC USB controller. Absolutely important to do so. Once you've updated, then the migration over to the PlanetCNC TNG is going to be much easier and much simpler. You do not, it's not a requirement, folks. You do not have to migrate over. You don't even have to use TNG. You can continue with what you're using. If you like it, you're happy with it, you're content, stick with it. The TNG software is an update. And in that update, the new algorithms that they've created in the program make the machine run a lot smoother. Okay? You have a lot more control in the back end, a lot more control in the front end, a lot more features and things that you can add, customization and things. It's all of the bugs, any of the little bugs that was in the CNC USB controller is no longer have been cleaned up in the TNG. One of the major bugs that used to be a pain in the butt was every time Windows updated, you had to reset your driver setting. You know, you guys called me 100 times on that, so you should know exactly what I'm talking about. You got to reset the driver setting because it wasn't communicating. You got to reset that driver and reestablish that communication. Well, that's gone. We don't have to do that anymore, you know. So a lot of those little glitches and bugs and all have been fixed and improved upon in the PlanetCNC TNG software. So, again, it's not absolutely required for to update or migrate over, but highly recommended. Now, in order to be able to migrate over, you must be, first of all, using at least at a minimum CNC USB controller at the latest version. If you're using Mach 3 or anything like that, can migrate over. Okay? If you're if you have an MK24 board in your control box, an older model unit, MK24, you would have to update your control board in order to migrate over. So there's a cost involved with that. The upgrade kit is $275. You have to personally make an educated decision or a decision based on, do I want to spend the $275? To buy that new board to be able to just get, use TNG, or am I content and happy with what I'm using for now because it's working and, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. You've got to decide. I can't tell you to spend $275. That's up to you. If you have the MK34 board, the newer units from about 2016 on have the MK34 board, then it's free to migrate over, and all you need to be concerned about is that your CNC USB controller is up to date to the latest version, and the firmware is up to date to the latest version. If it's not, then download this version and update it. If it is, then download your 2018.404 beta for Windows and start the migration. Now in the migration, let's say that I'm just now downloaded this program and I've opened it up. Well, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have the DWC TNG setting file that has been provided to you guys and girls in the Digital Woodcarver, or the owners group on Facebook, Digital Woodcarver owners group. And so let me get to my C drive. Planet program files x86 down to PlanetCNC folder, and I should have a setting file. Now your setting file will most likely say DWC TNG 1817, or it could say DWC TNG 1818. That's the raw default setting file, but many of you have updated and changed your settings, and you have given those setting files, those changes, a new name. So, but the file that your first file that you've downloaded from the Facebook group and everything is going to be a setting file that I've created for you. And so we want to copy that wherever we downloaded it to. We want to copy and paste it into our C drive, program files x86 folder, PlanetCNC. We want to paste it in this folder here. Okay. Now, once we do that, let's say that we've done that already, then we want to come over to File, Import Settings, and we want to import that file. Okay. Now you want to make sure that your machine is powered down while you do this, because based on the settings and based on everything, you know, your router might come on and stuff. So you don't need the machine turned on to do this. So let's get the settings set first, and then you can power up your machine when it's all said and done. So we're gonna, you know, open that setting file, and when you do, you're gonna get this neon green, not this one. This one I've dulled it down a little bit, but you're gonna get this bright neon green file program that pops up, you know, here, and it's going to say Digital Woodcarver in the top corner. Now, the and Brenda, by the way, don't ever you never have to apologize to me. No need to be sorry. I just wanted you to know that you can always call me to walk through this. You never have to apologize to me for anything. It'll say Digital Woodcarver in there. Well, the first thing that we can do is we can go into File Settings, and under Colors, that custom color, that neon green that it was set at, you can change it to any color you want. Pink, purple, blue, green. I like the hunter green looking stuff, but you can change it to any color you want. Click OK, and it'll change to that color. Get rid of that way you're not blinded while you're trying to do all this. Now we've downloaded the file. We've installed it. We brought our setting file that we copied out of Facebook into our PlanetCNC folder, and we've imported that. Wonderful. But we've still got steps to go. Next step, absolute next step, is go to Machine, down to Controller, over to Firmware Update. It's going to run an update. And when you get the message that that firmware update is successful, then you're good. Now it's communicating and it's updated your firmware on your machine. It's changed your board over to TNG, and everything is good there. Now when you do that, now we have to fully establish the connection. So we're going to go into File, Settings. Under Connection, the second option down, right now you can see that I'm in a simulation mode because I am in my office, nowhere near my machine. In order for me to be able to teach you this stuff, I need to be working simulation. But your license code is going to be listed right under the word simulation. And you're going to double click on your little license code, your board serial number, let's call it. You're going to double click on that, and it's going to throw that board number up in the primary controller box. And when you click OK, you're going to get a little green light down on the bottom right of the software with a little gray X in it. That green light says, hey, the connection has been established with the machine. And the little X means, but we're missing the license code information, the license, the actual activation license key code. So we've got connection with the machine, but we don't have our license key code. We have to obtain that if we're migrating over. So to obtain it, we go to Help, License Management, Activation Code Generator. In the Activation Code Generator, you're going to see your board serial number listed in this box. My box is blank because I'm not connected to a machine. But you're going to click on that board that's listed under this device list, and it's going to generate a code for you. And you're going to copy that code, and you're going to create an email. You're going to create an email that is going to go to support@planet-cnc.com. The subject line is going to be license, let's see here, TNG, or let's be professional, PlanetCNC TNG license key code request. That's the subject line. And the email itself is going to say, hello, my name is Laney, whatever your name is. I am a customer of Digital Wood Carver. Recently, I updated, let's call it updated versus migrate, updated to the new TNG software. The software has generated an activation code for me, and that code is, and you're going to paste your code, whatever it is that you just copied out of that thing. Could you please provide me with the license key code, it's called, for the above activation code? Thank you, Laney. Jonathan. Okay, put your name, of course. And you're going to send off that email. It's going to take about 24 hours for them to send you your license key code. When they reply to your email, you're going to receive a license key code that looks like this. Now that key code is going to have numbers and letters and things in it, not a bunch of X's, okay? But that key code bracket, let me move this over. Let me tab this stuff over so we can see it now when it's not up against the edge. But you want to copy the entire key code from that opening bracket down to the closing bracket. You want the entire key code copied. And you're going to go into the Help menu, License Management, My Licenses, and you're going to import that key code. And you're going to click OK. All right? Now, if I clicked OK right now, I would get an error that looks like this. Error, parsing license file, right? Because it's not a proper key code. So I'm going to get an error. But once you do that, now you will close that box and your green light will be a solid green light with no gray X. And you're ready to rumble. All right? That is the migration and update process minus the part about updating, minus showing you the part about updating your CNC USB controller. Okay? Updating your CNC USB controller, if it's not up to date, involves going to planet-cnc.com, going to product software, coming over here and selecting the CNC USB controller newest version, downloading it, and running that install. When you do and you open your program back up, it's going to ask you to update the firmware. When you do, that is updating to the latest version of that CNC USB controller. Once you've done that, now you can start the migration process over. You can run this program and do everything that we just covered. Okay? All right. So, show of hands, yes or no's in the group. You follow along? You with me? Up to this point? And for those of you who have already migrated, you know you've done this. This is for the new folks. Very straightforward. There's only a few steps. Step 1, install the TNG software. Step 2, take your setting file and take it over to the CNC USB controller folder on your hard drive in the program files x86. Paste it in there. Step 3, import that setting file. Step 4, change the color if you want to, if that's blinding you. It's under colors, you know, change the color, the custom color, whatever you want to do, you know. Most important step is let's call it step 5, machine controller update firmware, or firmware update. Let it run that update. You're going to get a little nice pretty box that says firmware update successful, okay, or success. Once that's done, step 6, go into the settings, connection, double click on your board that shows up under the word simulation and it will put it in the primary controller box. Step 7, the final step really is obtain the license key code. And by the way, this is for individuals migrating. If you've gotten your machine and it came with TNG, you don't have to email off for a license key code. We've provided it to you. It's on your flash drive. But you're going to obtain that license key code, and then you're going to send off that email to PlanetCNC. They're going to provide you with a license key code. You're going to come into your licenses, and you're going to import that key code. And you're done. That's it. Done, done, done. Ready to go, ready to run. Okay? Very straight, simple, to the point. All right? Now you have this video in the first, however long we are in the video process, 15, 20 minutes, that will walk you through it. All right. Now, from here, depending on that license setting file, you might try to move your machine with your little handheld control pendant, and it might not work. It might not move. Like, okay, why is my control pendant not working all of a sudden? Well, that's because we got to go down and set the pins. So if we go in here to the setting file and we go to shortcuts, we're going to get this little pretty block right here, and we're going to scroll down to the jog area. Under action, the jog area. And we want to set our jog pins. The pins would most likely look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they do, your machine might be running backwards. And you're like, wait, why is up down and down up and left is right and right is left? Why is everything backwards now? What did Laney do to me? Well, all we have to do is switch the X and minus and X plus. So that jog 2 would be up here and jog 1 would be down here. Jog 4, jog 3, jog 6, jog 5. You know, these would be reversed. How do we reverse them? Well, I come in here and I turn the jog 1 to a dotted line. It blanks it out. Now I can change this to jog 1 and come back up here and change that to jog 2. Jog 3 is used. I can't turn this to jog 3 because it's already used, so I have to click on the dotted line to blank it out. Now I can turn this to jog 3, and then I can turn the blank one to jog 4. So 2, 1, 4, 3, right? Now, blank it out, change this to jog 5, and then change that blank to jog 6. So notice, jog 2, jog 1, jog 4, jog 3, jog 6, jog 5. Those are all backwards. Now 7 and 8, leave it alone, because on your control pendant, you do not have a button for the A-axis minus or the axis plus, so you don't need to change anything with that. So that would be your jog pins. Now, your jog pins on older machines, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that might have been correct. Your machine might have been moving correctly, right? It's only if everything is backwards on that control pendant that you need to swap the numbers. And here's the X minus X plus, Y minus Y plus, Z minus Z plus. You know, that's the only reason you would need to change them. Now, when you downloaded the file from Facebook, if these are empty and like Laney, I'm in my jog area and there's nothing in the pin column. Well, if it's all blanked out and there's nothing in the pin column, then go in and set the pins. Click in the blank box, jog 2, jog 1, jog 4, jog 3. Set them, okay? And so your numbers are backwards. Make note of this so you know this for when you do this. Click OK, and now your pendant, test it out. It should work just fine. All right. So now we've updated our settings, right? We just made a change to our setting file. So, and we changed the color in our background. So what we should do is we should go over to File, Export Settings, and we need to create a new setting file, DWC TNG underscore. This is my mill setting file because I do have one for a 4th axis too, because I have a 4th axis. So mill, this is milling, and then today's date, right? The day that you do it. So 4/18, or yeah, today's the 18th. 18. Now I can save that, and I've just now updated and made all those changes in my setting file, right? So we want to make sure the next time we open TNG that it points to that file. So we're going to go into File once again, and now we're going to import that new setting file and click Open. Okay, and we're done. Now we're all ready to go. Let's go carve something and make some sawdust. All right, check 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 by 5, y'all good to go? All right, now let's talk about some of the cool features in PlanetCNC TNG. One of the cool features is that we have total control of our back end. So in our settings, we can change our colors of what our whole program looks like. We can come in and we can add custom keys, shortcut keys for our keyboard for certain functions. So if I wanted to come down, you know, like we were just in the jog or whatever, but let's say I have a mini carver and I don't have a control pendant. I have to use the software buttons to move my machine around. Well, if I have a number pad on my keyboard, on the right side of my keyboard, then I can set my number pad to control my machine's movement. So with my number lock on, if I hover my mouse and click on this, my X minus is the number 4, which is, you'll see there's little arrows under the number of your number pad. So I can set that to number 4. Number 6 for the X plus. Number 2 for the Y minus. Number 8 for the Y plus. Now my Z up and my Z down. My Z down, I typically would set it for the minus key. and my Z up the plus key. Okay? And I can set that, and now I can use that number pad. Well, Laney, darn it, I'm using a desktop computer and I don't have a number pad on the keyboard. Do I have options? Yes, you do. You have 4 arrows on the bottom of your keyboard. Up, down, left, and right. You can hover over here and my up arrow, my down arrow, my left arrow, my right arrow. And now, well, Laney, I only have 4 arrows. What do I do about the Z up and down? Well, let's go with for the down, we will go Shift D. And for the up, Shift U, right? Or DU, whatever, you know. Now, notice that I have a red line right here. That red line means that the up button is being used somewhere else in the shortcuts. Well, let's fix that. Let's go up and find it. I know exactly where it is. It's in the show history, you know, where we can see our history. So right here, we are show history in the MIDI box where it shows the history of programs that we've run in that MIDI box, that little box down here on the bottom. Well, I'm just going to history H, right? H. I'm just going to go and change that to Shift H, right? That's going to be my show history now. Now I can come down back to my jog, click back on this column and hit my up arrow and it will turn to blue and everything is golden. So I can set custom keys for anything. I can set custom shortcut codes for anything that falls under these actions and stuff. Take a look at these actions and see what all they are, right? Cool thing. Now we can, you know, come in and really change anything. You don't want to change too much, right? You don't want to change too many of the settings and stuff. But, you know, under the measure, you know, when I'm putting in, this is my touch probe, sensor 1, right? It's on pin 2. Well, what about my probe, my actual digital probe? Laney, I got a digital probe. Well, you're going to set that sensor up, you know. That's usually pin 3, you know, on your board when you wired it up. So you're going to set that sensor up. You can set the size of your movable sensor, whether it's that flat touch plate or your touch probe, or if you've made your own custom one, you know. And for my touch plate, it's 0.01, which is default set in your settings. But you can go through and change these. Now, if I was using my quick set zeroing tool that I purchased, you know, then I could, and I want to use that instead of the touch plate from now on. I want to use it for touching off my Z. I want to use it for finding my X and Y. Then you're going to change that to a 1/2 inch because that's how thick that top part of that touch plate is. You know, you can set your sensor size and stuff. So you have total control in the settings. Now, in the software, we have control of, you know, when we're running. So if I were to load a G code in here, okay, a little bear there. I'd load a G code in here. Now on my feed rate you know, things, and let me actually load a G code that has a feed rate programmed into it. Hold on one second. Where's all my G codes at? G code. Oh, right there. All right. So my G code, the feed rate of this program, it's a V-carve, raised text V-carve, so it's running 35 inches a minute. Okay, and that's at 100%, 35 inches a minute. You know, and then of course it slows down and speeds up and things for corners and stuff like that. But if I want to kind of, I want to start off slow with the program. I want to just kind of start off slow, make sure everything's going right, and then I'll speed it up. So I can reduce down and run, you know, 50% of that speed, that 35 inches a minute, Now I'm running, 17.5 inches a minute. And then when I'm happy, then I can level everything out. Then I can level everything out back to 100%. I might want to, while it's running, go, you know what? I can actually run this a little bit faster, and I can actually increase it, to run faster. A couple hundred, 100%, more, double it, or maybe not double it, maybe, 1.5 times, its speed or something, to go a little bit faster. And, I can always, now we're basically kind of in an override mode, right? We don't want to run constantly in override mode, but it doesn't hurt for temporary. And then I can, level out. If I have a spindle and not a router, I can adjust the spindle speed. I can increase it or decrease it, because the G code is what controls the spindle, the RPMs. A router don't have that option, okay? You have that turn dial on your router to turn it up and down. So we can control this on the fly. Same thing that we were able to do. We were able to do this in CNC USB controller, but it's just a little bit more, right here for us and stuff. Now, aside from that, I have this little I/O tab, which is like a little diagnostic screen. And when I do something, and I turn on a spindle, you'll see my output pin 1 turn on, because that's my setting and everything. This is my board that I'm looking at. So if that light didn't turn on and my router wasn't starting, it's kind of like a little diagnostic screen. I can say, okay, there's something going on with my output. Is my router turned on? Is my board, did a wire come off? What have you? So we have this little at a glance I/O. We had this in the CNC USB controller program as well, but it's a little bit more right here for us now. Okay, so we've got some controls. One of the coolest things is that we can, well, before we get to that, one of the things that's going to be different for you from CNC USB controller is when we zeroed out the X and Y, we had a little white dot next to the X and a little white dot next to the Y that we would click to zero them out. Well, now the letters are the buttons. Okay, we click the letter to zero those out. All right. If I wanted to, if I manually touched off my Z and Laney, I used to click in the box and type in the 0.01 when I touch off. Well, same thing. You click in the box and now a value box opens up and we can type in and set our Z that way when we touch off. We still have our automatic touch off. It's now looks like instead of the Z with the 3 blue arrows, it's a ruler with 2 lines. We still have a way to clear out our offsets and things, clear out any offsets in the program. This button right here, the X with the square around it and all. We have when we're setting our probe, we still have our probe settings and stuff. There were the buttons and all that. It's not changed. It's just they're not colorful anymore. They're just plain Jane white. Our spindle button, where we could manually turn on and off the vacuum and the router and stuff. It used to be a tool with a big green arrow in front of it. Well, now looks like a router bit. That's our spindle button, on and off. Okay. We still have our start, stop, and pause. Our views, top view, side view, front view, and perspective. We still have our zoom in and zoom out, or we can zoom to the router bit, or we can zoom to the part, one of the two, and put it in full view, that type of thing. So all of those buttons are pretty much the same. Our little vanilla file folder we used to have in CNC USB controller is turned to this little door looking thing with an arrow pointing in. That's our open. We can do that, or we can go to File, Open. Now, so other than that, a couple of other changes. The XY with the 4 green arrows in your CNC USB controller, that's the go-to 0XY. You bring your router back home kind of thing. Well, that has changed to look like the XY with the circle. And when we put our mouse over it, like the top one is move to 0, X, Y, and Z to 0. The bottom one is move axis to 0, X, Y. So just the X and Y. We still have those 2 buttons and things. They're just not colorful and all of that stuff. Now, let's get to the cool features. All right. Let's close this. This is where last week we ran into complications. All right. So, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go new. Or, yeah, we're going to, don't say. We're not going to say that. All right. So, the first thing, will the spindle speed adjust the laser, Glenn Jones? Yes, it will. Okay. So, your spindle speed is going to be, it might be like 8 or 6 or 5. You know, when you turn on your spindle, it'll show the spindle speed in there, whatever that is. You can turn that down or level it out, whatever, to whatever's in the G code. Okay. Now, here's the kicker. All right. It's by percentage. You can't double click in here and, you know, change the number, right? It's percentage. So if you want to increase or decrease the power by 10%, 20%, 30%, or if you want to increase the power, you know, from 100% to, you know, 110%, now you're working on percentage. So we got to figure out what that percentage is for the laser, right? We don't have a solid number. We got to figure out, if I decrease that, is that going to show, is that 9 or 8 does it show? Is it 7 or 6? What is 10% for my laser power? You know, so that way I know when I increase 10% or I decrease 10%, I'll know what my laser power is. So yes, it will. You just got to kind of figure out. Yes. Floyd, the speed 100% is what the G code is set at, what your program is designed to set at. So when you level out, you know, to 100%, that's what it's just going to go back to what your design, your G code, your tap file is programmed at. So, you know, we've got that. All right. So now in our notepad, we're going to open up Notepad. And we're going to do a couple of things. And I'm going to use this notepad for writing out the instructions, right? All right. So the first thing we are is if we are setting custom features in the software, then we are going to name our file UD, right? UD, user defined UD, starting with 6, then UD7, UD8, UD9, UD10. Well, why do we have to start at 6, Laney? What's all that? Why can't I start with 1? Well, if we go to machine user defined, there are already 5 preset user defined options already. So we have to start at 6. UD6, UD7, UD8, UD9, UD10 to whatever, right? And if you'll notice, my number 6 is my quick set tool for my 1/4 inch touch off. So if I were to click that, it would load my G code for doing a touch off on my quick set tool with a 1/4 inch diameter bit or touch pin, right? 1/4 inch. So that's and I can have one for my 1/2 inch, one for my 3/8, one for my 3/4, one for my whatever. So, you know, I've got user defined. We've set features. We can add custom features and defines. These features could be in different things. If there's a program that we run constantly, you know, like a pocket cut, right? You know, I run a pocket cut all the time. You know, I'm always cutting out this one part over and over and over again. Then I can create a user defined file for that operation. And then when I come to machine, user defined, and I click on that operation, it will load it for me. Now, so we've named our file, our notepad text file, UD6. Okay? And so I'm going to do that. We're going to open up another. And I'm going to have to use 7 because I've already got 6. But I'm going to open up a new notepad. And I'm going to go automatically, first thing, file, save as. Now, you cannot save directly to the folder that we have to save it to. So on my desktop, I created a folder called TNG Custom Files. TNG Custom Files. And this is where I save all of my files and that I will copy and paste over into the appropriate folder in the C drive. So we're going to call this UD6. Okay. And it's going to be a text document. No, it's not going to be a text document. It's going to be a G-code document, UD6 dot G. Oh, come on. UD7. I got to go 7. UD7 dot G-code. G-code. All right, you set your type as all files. Okay? So we've got that in there. Now, I got to come in and say, okay, well, what is this file going to do? What's this feature going to do? Well, first of all, we need to name it. So we're going to start with is that a parentheses? God, I'm so stupid right now. We got quote marks, that should be a parenthesis, right? Parenthesis. Open bracket. And then lowercase name, comma. Now the name of what's our feature going to be called? You know, and it can be called whatever you want. For me, I'm going to do another quick set feature. So it's going to be called quick set and space, and this is going to be for my 0-5. Okay, I'm using the 0 as a whole number, like 1, and the dash is a point because I can't put decimals in here. You can't put decimals, so I'm using the dash as a decimal, and 5 meaning half inch, 1.5, right? You know. So 0-5, and you know, so it's a half inch. And then I'm going to comma. Now I have a choice here. If I want to, when I choose that option, if I want that operation to start running automatically, then I'm going to put a 0 here after that comma. If I want it to just load the file and I still have to manually hit start, then I'm going to put a 1. Okay. 0 will start automatically. As soon as you choose the option, it's going to off and on, you know, go. It's going to go. You know, it's going to go do whatever it does. If I set it to 1, then I have to manually start it by hitting the start button. So whichever option. I want my quick set to be a 1. I want to load it, and I want to manually start it. Okay. So that's going to end naming my button, my option, my feature, not my button, sorry, my feature, my user-defined feature. Okay. Now, what do I want it to do? What's this feature going to do? Well, for me, since it's a quick set function, I'm going to open up my DWC quick set G-code generator. We're going to open it up. And I'm going to set my tool diameter to 0.5. Okay. Everything else is going to be same defaulted. I I'm going to be using my 1/2 inch diameter bit, so I don't need a tool change. I'm going to use the whole bit. So I'm then going to just generate that G code. Now, when we do the user-defined functions, we do not use the parentheses or the percent signs that gets created in this G code file, right? We don't want to. So we're going to just copy this file, just like that. Now, I cannot right-click on this screen. I have right-click locked on here. So you will use the shortcut Control-C for copy. Control-C. Control-C is always for copy for any Word documents or anything like that. That's the keyboard shortcut, Control-C. Now I can come into my document and hit Control-V to paste, or I could have, if I undo that, let's undo that, or I could have come in, set that to 1. I could have come in and just right-click and chose paste. Either one. But Control-V is the shortcut. Now, this is the name of that feature, and this is what I want it to do. So I'm going to save that change I just made, and I'm going to close that file. Okay? So the file name, to add a custom features, let's go here, let's do this. File name is going to be UD6, UD7, UD8, whatever option it is. Okay, if 6 is already used, then you use 7. If 7 is already used, you use 8. Okay, so that's our file name, and we're going to end it with a .g code. Okay, we set the file type as all files. What that means, what does that mean, Landy? But what do you mean now by set file type? When we're saving this, the file type, save as type, we set it to all files. Okay? Because we want this to be a .g code file. G code file. Alright? So then in this file, we have to name the feature. Name, comma, whatever the feature name is. And then we are going to have another comma, and it's going to be a 0 or 1. And then we close off the bracket. Now, I will come over here and say 1 is for manual start. 0 is for automatic start. Okay? And then insert the G code, the function that we want it to do, right? Insert the function we want it to do. Okay? Insert the G code, whatever it is we want to do. All right? Now, when we do that and we save it, now we come into our documents, and I'm going to go to my TNG custom files folder on my desktop, and I'm going to grab that UD7, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go into my C drive. This time we're very used to going into program files x86, but this time we go into program files. And in the program files, we're going to go down to PlanetCNC, and you're going to see a folder called Profiles. And in that folder, Profiles, we're going to open it up, and you're going to see a default folder. We're going to open up that, and in the default folder, this is where we're going to talk about these pages in a minute. But under the scripts, user-defined features go under scripts, and we're going to paste that UD file. Now it's going to ask for administrative permission, and then it's going to put that file in. Once we do that, we can go to our software and go to Machine, User Defined, Reload. Now we should see our Quick Set 0.5 option. All right, cool. Now I want you to notice something at the bottom left of my screen. At the bottom left, you see this Q25 button here? I want my quick set buttons to come across the bottom of my page. Okay, we can add buttons on the top, the left side, the bottom, or the right side of our software. We could button it up if we wanted to, all the way around. Well, I decided for me, I want my buttons that I add to be across the bottom of my screen. Now, when I click this button, let me close this program so you can see what happens. When I click this button, it automatically loads that user-defined file. Automatically for me. So now I have a quick access button. I don't have to go into menu, down to user define, and over to choose that option. I now have a button that will load that file for me, that feature for me, let's call it. All right. So, okay, Laney, you showed us how to add the feature. How do we add the buttons now? Good question. Let's add some buttons. So, we are going to, all right. Now, this file, let's finish this off properly. This file gets saved. Save the file in your C drive, program files, PlanetCNC, profiles folder, default, scripts. Okay, that's the location that it's going to be saved in. Okay, all right, now how do we add buttons? All right, glad you asked. Here we go. We're going to add some buttons. So adding a button. When we add a button, we're going to create 4 pages, 4 documents, files, should I say. Let's call them files. And they're going to have file names. So we're going to have a btn top.txt file. We're going to have a btn bottom.txt file. And it should not text .txt, guys. .txt. Not the word text. TXT. We're going to have a btn, capital B, capital, whatever the next word is. And this is going to be left.txt. And a btn right.txt. Okay, so these are going to be our files. Okay, files to be created, let's call it that. All right, so these are the 4 files that we're going to create. Now, inside those files, we need to decide what we're going to do. Okay, so what are we going to do? Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to, I've already created my files. And I want my buttons that I'm going to do for my features, I want them to be at the bottom. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up my button bottom file. And so if I come into my notepad, if I go to File Open, in my TNG custom files folder, because remember I can't pull right from the PlanetCNC, I have my btn button bottom.txt folder. Okay, and already in here you can see that there's a function, and this function has created the button to open up the machine menu, user defined UD6, and that button name is QD25. So we want to do another button. The machine menu followed by a period, user defined option, no space on the user defined, and we want to go over to the UD7. Okay, that's the function I want this button to open up, that UD7. Now I want to put a space, and now I want to name my button. Now we only have, I think, about 4 or 5 characters that we can use for the button name. We can't give it a long name, right? There's only a 4 or 5 characters that will show up on that button. So for me, my buttons are named Q for the word quick set, and in this case it would be 5. Oops, 5. Q5 for my. I should put Q05. 05, because that's for my half-inch. 0 being a whole number, 5 being the the bottom number. And I might be able to put 0 dash. Let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4 characters in a button. Might not be able to get 4 characters, but let's find out. So Q 0.5. That's my setting, my button. So if you notice, machine dot user defined underscore UD7. If we actually looked at the program, machine menu, user defined over to UD7, which is my quick set, right? So it's actually the period is separating the menus. Machine, the period is separating to the next menu option, user defined. There's no space in when you type it in the code. And the little underscore is creating a space, meaning over, over to here. Okay? So in my file, my machine underscore user defined, or dot period, sorry, user defined, capital U, capital D, no space, underscore UD7, that option, that feature I just created, and then the name of the button. With it, you put a space and then a name of name your button. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to save that file. Now, this buttons can be for anything in the File, View, Program, and Machine, and Help menu. So if I get tired, let's say if I wanted a button to do Program, Shift, right? And Shift X or Shift Y, or Program Warp, right? And I want it to open up that warp option for me when I click the button, so I don't have to, I'm doing warping a lot with my probe, and I want to, instead of having to go up to the menu and come down here and stuff, I want to be able to click a button and it open up that feature for me. Then we would come into that option. Where do you want the button? Do you want it at the top, bottom, left, or right? If you want it at the bottom, then you're going to use your bottom file. If you want it on the top, your top file, and all that stuff. So I'll go ahead and I'll put it at the bottom, but I want my quick sets at the bottom, but I'll put it in there just so we can see how to do that. So Program is the first menu, followed by a period. The second menu is Warp. Notice that there's an underscore dot dot dot. We need to include that. Okay? So let's go back in here. Program, period, warp. Now, the space before the dot 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 needs to be defined by an underscore. Okay? Underscore dot dot dot. All right? So that's that warp function. Now I'm going to put a space and I'm going to name that button. And I'm going to call it warp. Do I want all capital letters? Warp. Right, warp. We'll go all capital like we're yelling at it. Warp. hopefully we can get 4 letters out of a button. Not sure. We may only get 3. So it's going to say war. But still, we could shorten it up if we had to WRP. In Cincinnati. Wasn't that the name of that show? All right, so warp. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. So let me know if you don't understand about the menu separated by a period to the other menu option. Spaces are the underscore, and then whatever the option is. Now in our case, our warp had a space after the P with then 3 dots. ... And so we have to include that space in that ... in there. And then after that ... my space, this, we're not putting an underscore after the ... We're putting a space saying, hey, this is what I want you to open. And the other side of this blank spot is the name of the button. Okay, so once again, we'll save that. And let's go into our custom files, and let's grab our button bottom.txt and copy that. And we're going to go into the C drive. Program files. It'll take some getting used to because I'm used to saying 86 after. Program files. PlanetCNC Profiles folder. Default. Now our pages for our buttons, they go in the default folder. So I'm going to right click and paste. It's going to say, do I want to replace the existing file? Yes, I do. I want to update it. It's going to ask for administrative permission. And now that's updated. Now, when we're adding a button, we need to close down the TNG program and restart it. Okay? And I'll get back to the instructions. And look at there, we can get 4 characters. It says warp, Q5, so there's my buttons, right? So if I load my Q5, there's my program. If I click on my warp button, it's going to open up my warp functions for my points, so I can load my points and stuff, and all, when I have my G code and all. All right, so we can set up functions for the probing for the warp. We can set up functions for anything. We can create buttons and stuff, which is cool. Now, let's go to our instructions. And so for adding buttons, we're creating 4 files. Okay, 4 files. And we're going to name those files. And let me tab them off this wall so you can see them. BTN, capital B. TOP, capital T, dot text. Bottom, left, right, BTN, button. All right, we're going to create 4 files. Inside those files, we are going to include the function. Okay, so we want to have the menu followed by a period, and then let's try to let's see if we can space that out. No spaces, guys. Let's do it. We got no spaces. Menu, then the secondary or sub menu. Let's call it sub menu, and then the option of whatever it is. If it's a move over option or what have you. If there's a a space, then we have to put that, and then the ... If you see that in the menu option, whatever it may be. We're going to then separate that by a blank space, and then we're going to have the button name. Okay, so for us, our example was for the warp, we did program, menu, warp, space, ... You see it in there, right? So program menu followed by that period, warp, space, ... That's our menus. That's where to find this function. and then we put a space, and that space says, okay, everything on the left side of the menus, everything on the right side of this space is the, oops, I almost screwed up. We got to have that underscore dot dot dot. Okay, sorry about that. Everything on the other side of that blank is going to be the button name, and we named it warp. Okay, and that's it. That's all we do in that file. And we keep adding options for every button that we want across the bottom. We keep adding those options. Okay? Now, if I want a dividing line, you see these little horizontal grayed out kind of dividing lines in the menu up here? The little menu up here that you can barely see them. It's kind of a faint gray dotted line. If I want that dividing line between my buttons, which I do because warp is not part of my quick set options, then I want to put a space and 3 dashes. Dash, dash, dash. Okay? A space and 3 dashes. When did the screen freeze, guys? Where did the screen freeze, guys? Okay. How far back did it freeze? Did you got everything up to this point? You guys, are you caught up to this point, or did you miss something when the screen froze? How long was it frozen for? Was it frozen when you went to Notepad? Okay. All right. You see in the software between these menu buttons, you see this faint green dotted line or dividing line, not dotted, dividing line. You know, this faint gray, should I say, dividing line between the button sets. You know, if we want that same dividing line between our buttons, then we're gonna put 3 dashes, dash, dash, dash. Okay, and it will separate and put a little dividing line. And I do, because I want all my quick sets to be in one group. Then I want a dividing line in any other programs in another. If I'm going to have this warp on the bottom, you know, thing, then I want dividing lines between those functions. So the let's go into, let's make sure that you're back here. Let's see if it freezes up or if it switches back to that screen. Because I'm back in the instruction page here in just a second. I just want to make sure that we've got our add a button option up. Now, there we go. Let's put a space here. To create a dividing line between buttons or a group of buttons, we need to use dash dash dash. Now, no spaces, just 3 dashes all together. And that it's hard. Let me spell that out. So people, if somebody wants dash dash dash, okay. Basically, make it even 3 dashes. All right. So dash dash dash. All right, that's what that is. So now in my actual file, I want 3 dashes between the quick set buttons and the warp button. All right. Oop, saw a little bit of a black screen there. Oop, a little bit of a black screen. Something's going on. I see it kind of blinking in and out. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save that file. Now, saving it just saved it and updated it in my custom features folder, my custom files, my TNG custom files. Ooh, I wonder why that black screen keeps blinking in. I keep seeing it blink. Something blinking. The button bottom text file out of my custom files folder, I want to, I knew what was coming. My right clicks are freezing it up. So give me a second, guys. It's going to blink out for a minute. You're going to get a black screen. You're going to get a black screen. Stand by, everybody. Your screen is now black. Do not adjust your television or computer. It is actually black. So hold tight. Hopefully you can still hear me. It should come back in just a second. Come on, screen. Hold on a second. Oh, come on. Oh, stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am aware of a black screen. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum. We were doing so good. Oh, we were doing so good too. Hold on a second, guys. We have a black screen issue. Oh man, we're almost there too. Come on. All right, stand by. I'm still here, guys. Okay. We're back. You should have sound now. We're going to go through that again. Everything you just saw flicker on your screen, we're going to redo again. So, all right. Yep, you should have sound now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Giving a big old shout out to Dennis, Wayne, Chris, and everybody else. You guys hear me? Sound should be back. Sound, you got sound? We're good? Sound? All right, good. Okay, so we're going to redo everything that we just did. So, what I was saying when there was no sound, it was good too, guys. You missed a whole story. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to go into our File Explorer. We're going to go into that Custom Files folder, and we're going to copy... I'm going to force it to copy because now it's wanting to lock up on me. Again. Why, oh why. Alright, so we're going to copy that. And we're going to paste that file, that BTN bottom text file that we just updated with our little dots and all that stuff. We're going to paste that. You're going to see that window go away for a minute. In our C drive, you're going to get a buffering, and it's going to buffer and buffer and buffer for while it froze up my computer. So let it buffer. You guys will see it and you'll hear it and you'll... There we go. So we're going to go into our C drive, Program Files, PlanetCNC into the Profiles folder, default folder, and we're going to paste, replacing the file in the destination and giving administrative permission to paste. All right. Once we do that, we will close down the TNG program, and then we will reopen it. Now you will see when we reopen it, the program, you'll have a nice faint gray dividing line between the buttons. You'll have a nice, same as it is on the top. So that dot 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 is your dividing line. So if we have our 3 dashes, dash dash dash, 3 dashes, no spaces, let's call it. All right, that's our instruction. Let's see here. We're going to create that dividing line. We're going to use 3 dashes, and we want to add a button. This gets saved. Save the file in. Well, you'll have to copy and paste it. You'll have to create a custom folder, but this is where it goes to, okay? Save the file in your C drive, program files, profiles, default folder. Okay? Default folder. All right. Okay. So now we've added custom features, showed how to set that. We showed how to set buttons. We've got one more that I want to. Yep, we froze up again. I see that, Chris. I see that again. We froze up. There, it froze. Still frozen. Still frozen. Okay. That must mean that time is running out. No, we're on a roll. We got one more. It's very simple, but let's get it. Let's get ourselves out of a jam. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. All right, look at that mouse. I'm moving. That mouse is moving. All right. So, yeah, new phrase, still froze. Okay. One of these days I'll get that fixed. It's the Wirecast, the little cheap Wirecast Play broadcaster that I use. Yes, Wirecast. I said it's cheap. You know. I'm going to have to find a better solution. But, you know, get what you pay for. All right, so we are good. We're moving around a little bit. See a little bit, a little bit of blinking. Let's see if we can get those instructions to pop up. All right, there we go. So you should see mouse moving around. And we want to save this file in the program files profiles default folder on our C drive. All right, so now we're going to add some custom tabs. Okay. Now the custom tabs, we don't have a whole lot that we can do with them. But what they are tabs over here on the left side of the software, where our speed tab is and our IO tab. We can put 5 tabs here. Okay. We can have a total of 5 tabs running along here. Now these tabs are called states. The state of the machine, the state of the operation, the state of the, you know, what have you. And in the, we have a text file. Let me find my parameters. We have a text file called parameters that we can, that's in our C drive. I'll show you where those parameters are. Those parameters are in our C drive. Go to this PC, C drive, program files, PlanetCNC, samples, templates. Okay. Templates. The parameters.txt file is what has all of the parameters of the machine. It has the position, absolute position, probe parameters, camera if you have a little digital camera attached to it, your tool, your work offset, current coordinate system, your offsets, your modal state, just the modal state of the RPMs, the speed, spindle mode, all of this stuff. Your regular state, what's the state of the program, in the machine and stuff. The controller states. Let's go down past, there's a lot of controller states. Coordinate system parameters. Get down further. G28 parameters, G30 parameters, tool table parameters if you have your tool table. G-code properties, and that's the one we're going to use. Now, in the G-code properties, there are a lot of different G-code properties that we can look at, but what I want is these. Oops. Let me get down to G-code properties. what I want is these first 5 G-code properties. The file size, the line count, the length in inches of the G-code when it's completely run, how many inches did my machine run, and the G-code time, G-code limits. That's what I want. So I'm going to copy that because I want to create a featured tab. Now, we are going to create a new text document, and these files are going to be state files. Now there's already 2 tabs in the tabs. We got speed and IO, 1 and 2. So we need to start with 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we can only put 5 tabs, up to 5 tabs. So this file name, if I go File, Save As, it's going to be State 3. Okay, State 3, and it is going to be a text file .txt, and I'm going to save that in my custom files folder. Now I've already got it, so it's asking if I want to replace it. Yes, I do. Okay, now in here, in my state file, I want to paste that parameters, but at the top of my page, I need to name the tab. I need to name the tab. And so in order to name the tab, I want to use the parameter. Oh goodness, hold on a second. I know what it is. I really, really do. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh, what is it, Laney, off the top of your head? Come on, real quick, bear with me. Oh, I was doing so good up to this one. Oh, it's name something. Name. I gotta cheat because I'm going nuts here. Okay, up at the very, very top, I gotta cheat of the parameters tab. There we go. I knew it was named something. Alright, so I'm gonna copy that because I'm gonna copy it. Alright, sorry. Alright, I need that paste up there, and the name is going to be, for this one, is going to be G-code. G-code. And I want my ... and then I want my parameter. Okay? So I knew I stuck, but I had to cheat. So name, and then in quote marks, the name of the file, or the tab, and then the named underscore line 0 is the current line, okay, of the name. So name underscore 0, and then 3 dashes, and then whatever the parameters is. So now I'm going to save this, and we can close our parameters folder. Keep your parameters folder because you can pull any of these parameters from it. It's got all of them. Hell, you could even you can just create a tab called all, and it'll show you all these parameters, but I don't recommend that. I recommend, picking and choosing the 3 main important things that you want to see. For me, really the G code is my, the only main thing I want to see. But so now in my custom files, in my custom files, I'm going to copy that custom file to my scripts folder. Let's do it the long way. I did it the short way, but it didn't really show anything, so let's do it the long way. We're going to right click and copy. I thought it was going to be able to show. I thought it was going to open these menus for me. We're going to copy that state file. We're going to go into our C drive. Program files. PlanetCNC. Profiles. Default. And under scripts, do state files go under scripts? Bear with me a second. I think they just go in the default folder. They yeah, they just go in the default profile folders, guys. Sorry about that. Paste. Okay, they just go in the default folder. So now a tab is like a button. We have to close down the program. Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot of shots needed, Baron. Just a couple. Just a couple. You just got here, so don't. When did you get here? 15 minutes ago. That's when my jive started getting all messed up, man. Was it you, Baron? Were you throwing me some little funky vibes? No, not a lot of shots. It was just a couple of options. Now, if you notice, I have a new state tab called G code, and in the G code, this shows me my current time and all. So let's open up a G code file, and for this file, we can see that the file size is I'm assuming this is going to be in kilobytes. But the line count, how many lines? 15,853, right, to the last line. That's my line count. My G code length in inches. So when it finishes carving the sign, it would have carved 1,225 inches, right? My G code time is 21. Oh, what is that in normal time? 2100 minutes. 2100 minutes. Let me do some math here real quick. Maybe in seconds. Let me see here. 2100 divided by 60 is 35 hours if I did 2100 minutes. So that's got to be 2100 seconds because it's only a 35-minute card. So that's seconds in seconds. So now if we look at our parameters, is there a way, if we look at that G code parameters, is there a way that we can change that? So let's total time. G code. Yeah, it's gonna go in seconds, most likely, because that's 2100 seconds. That's 35 minutes, right? Did I do that math right? If I do 2100 divided by 60, right? 60 seconds in a minute. 35 minutes. You know, and that's what that program runs, 35 minutes. So, yeah. Now, this does not count down, guys. It's not the countdown feature. It doesn't count down as the machine is running. This is just giving you a current state of that file. Okay? Current state of that file. And, you know, that might be important to you. It might not. Of all the states and all, I haven't really looked at all of them to see what all they are. But it's not there's not a lot of information there that I really want to know, but there may be for you. You might find some things that you want to, I really want to know this, and I want to see it, be able to see it by clicking a tab. Now, so adding custom tabs, our file name is going to be state and then a number. Okay, state and then a number, and that number is going to be 3, 4, or 5. Okay, you can only add up to 5 buttons. So in our example was state 3. All right, and it's a txt file, .txt. The parameters.txt file, parameters.txt file can be found in the C drive, program files, C drive, program files, PlanetCNC, the samples, templates folder. Okay, that's where you can find that to be able to open that up and pull from what you want. The name at top of your page, what have you, is going to be classified as name with whatever the name it is. In my case, it was G code. And then that second line of code was what was it? What was it? I gotta cheat. Named space underscore line 0 equals the current line. I'm gonna copy that because I won't remember all that by the time I get back over here. Oops, that's not my instructions page. Okay. From there, you will have your 3 dashes, right? That ... And then you will put in the state codes from the parameters file, you know, that you want. Now, this will get saved. Save the file in C drive, program files, profiles, default folder. Okay, and that's it. All right, so that is how to create custom features You don't have a limit on the custom features. How to create buttons. You don't have a limit on the buttons until you run out of space, right? And how to create tabs. And you have 3 tabs that you can put in, 3, 4, and 5. So, 3 of those tabs. And those aren't the most exciting. There's not a whole lot there. Yes, Paul, it's recording. So this is the instructions, basically, for creating those features and all. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this in my custom files. How to instructions. Now, these instructions are also broken down for you in, on the blog page of planet-cnc.com. But this is a quick and simple how-to instructions file that I will send to you. Okay? That I'll send to you. I'll put it in the Facebook group and stuff. So that's that. Now, let's close all this. So now we have some cool buttons, right? Some cool buttons that'll load some features and things and functions and stuff, from the menus. Just pop them right up with a click of a button kind of deal. Our set button, the set button opens up all the settings, right? I created a set button at the top, which, what would be the code for the set button? It would be file, period, settings, space, ... then a space and capital SET for the name of the button, right? So that's how and then we put it in the button top, text file or wherever you want to put it. And see, I even got one over here, set. I was just playing around today. So, it opens those settings. So we can have buttons to open up functions and features, or, functions and features, user-defined features, and we can create those user-defined functions. If we've got a G code that we run all the time, we would just love a quick, click of a button kind of thing. We can do that. So, the TNG software, at a glance, guys and girls, some really cool stuff, and I don't, there's not a whole lot more to go into with it. So, in the machine tab right here, your machine tab, this shows you your machine coordinates and stuff when we, when our machine is moving around and everything. If you have offsets and stuff like that, it's going to be the machine position and all. And then you got a work tab, the actual work position when you zero out your X and Y and your Z at the beginning of your job. Now, for me, I always recommend zeroing out the machine tab, because that should automatically zero out the work tab. The machine position, work position, usually the same. But also, when if we had offsets, let's say that we had offsets in here. I'll create a little offset. Okay. I should be able to clear the offsets with my offset 0 tool there, and that will remove. Let me create an offset first. It would help. You got to create one first. So let me offset my X and Y. Okay. So now I have an offset in things, and when I clear these, it'll. Which one does it do? Oh, let's create an offset. I kept clearing. I was like, let's create an offset, and I'm not creating an offset. All right, now I have an offset, and you can tell we have an offset because everything is like, out of wackadoo. And so if we clear our offsets, it will clear the offsets. It will not clear the machine tab. Okay, it will not clear the work tab. It just clears out the offsets and gets us back where we need to be. Your machine tab, zeroing it out, should zero out the work tab. They're kind of tied together a little bit, But if not, you always want to zero out the machine tab first. After you get your router in position and all that stuff, zero it out first, and then go through and set your X, Y, and Z. You know, zero out and touch off your Z and all. You can access the machine work, the work offset, and the tool offset options from the menu here. So absolute position to 0 on that's the machine position. Absolute position is the machine position. Work position to 0, work offset to 0, and tool offset to 0. Now, if clicking on in the machine tab X, Y, and Z was not easy enough for me to do, I could create a button to do that for me. Okay, so if I created a button called machine period absolute position, no space, capital A, capital P, underscore 20, no space, then, and I create that button, it would do that for me. So let's do that real quick and end the class with a bang. So I'm going to put it at the, I don't want to put it at the bottom. I want to put it at the top. So I'm going to close that. Let's go File, Open, and I want to go Button Top. All right. And so this is going to be machine period absolute position underscore 20. I don't know if I need a space on there, but we'll leave it at that. And then a space, and this is going to be called Mach 0. Mach 0. Mach 0. Yeah, we'll just call it that. Mach 0. All right. Now, I don't know if I need the space between the two zero. I do not believe I do in there. I think it is no space. So we're going to save this, and we're going to see if that is true or not. File, save. We're going to go into our File Explorer, into our custom file folder. And we're going to, oh, damned if I didn't right click. Stand by. You're going to get a frozen screen. I don't know why my right click freezes up things. So stand by a minute. Oh, damned. All right, so while we're doing that, so William Allen, so how does this affect both the mill mode setting files and the fourth axis setting files if you have one, or do you need to update both setting files? No, whether you're in mill mode or fourth axis mode, it's going to be the same. You're just those change your settings. Let's real quick go in and try this one more time. Copy into the C drive, and then we'll test that theory here. We'll test that theory, William, here in a moment. Program files, PlanetCNC, profiles, default, and paste. It's already there, so I'm going to replace it and give administrative permission. All right. And we're going to close that out. We're going to close out the software and reopen it. Okay. There is no button at the top because it didn't, the file name was wrong. So machine absolute position. I'm going to let me look and make sure I got absolute position overscore 20. I'm going to try it two ways. I'm going to put the underscore underneath there. I think it needs an underscore or it needs an actual space. I think it's going to be the underscore because we can't, the space is the blank spot is the name. So let's do that one more time. So let's put 2 underscore 0. Yeah. All right. Save that. One more time. Now I'm going to use the my little copy to option so I don't freeze again, but I want to copy this file to the default folder, replacing the file and giving administrative permission. All right. Reopen the TNG. No. Make sure I'm checking my spelling. Absolute position. I wonder sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes it's tricky. Absolute position. I'm going to try it like that. Actually, I'm going to try it like this first. Absolute to 0. Boom. Those 3 menus. I'm going to try it like that with the periods in between. No spaces. And then if that doesn't work, well, you guys, you know how to create them. Just go through and play with it, because we're not going to get it. We're not going down that rabbit hole tonight. Save. All right, in my button top folder. Oh, dadgummit. Why do I do that to myself? Stand by. I right clicked. I was supposed to do the copy to up there. I don't know what that is with my computer. But right click it does not like. And then after we do this, if this doesn't work, we'll go in and check the setting files, William, and see. There we go. Let it reset. All right, button top dot text. We're going to copy to the default folder. Replacing the old one. And let's close her down. And reopen it. All right. I will paste the actual code for that in the Facebook group. I'll stay here and figure out which way the code is, because we need to know that. We need to know when you have, like in Word user defined, there's no space there and there's a dash moving over to this menu. Well, that's no different than this one. Absolute position, there should be no space there with a dash moving over to this menu. And so the... and I just answered my own question, but dash and then, but when you have two words here, is there going to be a space? Is there going to be an underscore? What is it? I will post that in the Facebook group. I also posted in the description of this video. It'll be down there, a sample of this, creating this button. Now, we got to move on. I'll figure out what that code is. There's a couple of combinations. So settings, in our setting files, oops. Okay, in our setting files. So the first thing that you'll notice is when I imported a setting in the 404, it's pointing me to the program files folder, right, where our settings are. I'm going to back up to the program files x86, PlanetCNC folder, where my settings are, and I may need to bring these over to that folder, but I don't want to. And that's my new one, mill. So my old original one is this, which would be the same thing as if it was a fourth axis. This is my very first original one. I don't have the fourth axis in here because it's my simulation. But this is the original with the neon green background and all of the unset pins and all that stuff, which would be a completely different setting file from this. So if I import this setting file, oh, it's actually brown, not green. All my buttons and everything are the same. So it does not, I know, will you? Screen locked. Long story short, it did not affect it at all. But let's stand by. Okay, so the we're back, and you'll see the screen be this puke ground here in a minute. The changing my setting file from one setting to another did not affect my buttons at all. They're all still there and everything. So it has no effect on whether you're in mill mode or fourth axis mode. Your buttons are going to be there. Now, of course, your functions are going to be different. You're not going to run, you know, for me, I wouldn't run my quick set functions in my fourth axis, though, unless I set it up some way where I can do that. But, or utilize it. But the no setting, no changes in there. All right, guys and girls, I'm going to end with importing the final setting file to go back to our green colors, so we have that nice, pretty picture. Bear with me a second. Program files x86, PlanetCNC. We're going to grab my setting file and click open. Come back to my nice green function there, separate setup file, and we are all set. All right, so take a look and explore your PlanetCNC TNG software. Very nice, able to add custom features and buttons and stuff for functions. Your buttons can be created for any of the menus: file, view, program, machine, and help, and any of the features underneath. Of course, I'm gonna get you an answer when you have a two-line, name. It should be no spaces with a dash and then no spaces. I will write the code out. And I'll put it in the description of this video, but I'll also write it out in the Facebook group just to say, hey, here was that code, for that, and to get that next button added. But all in all, I think we had a successful tour of TNG tonight. And in the beginning, we talked about how to migrate over. For those of you that are still using CNC USB controller and on the fence about the TNG program, hopefully this kind of gives you something to think about. We talked about which version to download and install. And again, if you get ready to migrate over, and you are migrating over from CNC USB controller, do it at a time where you have 24 hours that you don't need to run your machine, because you're going to be down that long while you're waiting for the license code. And if you need help with anything through the migration period or even the installation period, if this is a new install for you or whatever, give me a call, and we'll work together. We'll jump on TeamViewer and get you transitioned over. Paul, are you just now getting here? This is just for TNG. This video is strictly for TNG, and it talks about how to migrate over to TNG from USB controller in the beginning of the class. We will do a review in class of the CNC USB controller. We'll do that separately. But CNC USB controller, we'll do a class on that separately another day. Because there are going to still be people that use it. There are no ways to add any custom features or functions in the CNC USB controller, Paul. So basically, you're just going to be getting a walkthrough of what it does and where the different things are and everything. But you do not have the kind of control to add custom features and functions like you do in the TNG. So anything that you see in this video about how to add the buttons or the features or that is not available. That is not an option in the CNC USB controller. But I will do a class on the CNC USB for those that aren't going in to migrate over, or for those that can't migrate over because their board is outdated and they just don't want to update their board. They want to stick with what they got. So I will we'll do a tour and stuff of the CNC USB controller as well. And that we'll probably do that. Let's see, today's Wednesday. We will do that next Wednesday, a week from today. Monday we're going to have a class. What's the class going to be about? I'm not sure. But we will have a regular project class, Vectric project class on Monday. And then Wednesday we will have another software, USB CNC software class for those that are still using CNC USB controller. All right. I appreciate all of you for sticking with me this long, and I want you all to have a great night. We got through it tonight, so yay. All right, everyone. Have a great evening, and until next time, I'll see you soon.